Hello everyone. Welcome back to the Turbo Kino channel. This time we're going to tell you about the second part of the movie, The Accidental Detective, which was released to audiences in 2018. To briefly introduce the movie, Dae-man and the legendary White Shark, former detective Tae-su, meet through a clue in a case. Later, they both quit their jobs and set up a private investigation agency. While their work isn't uncovering any significant cases, a woman arrives wanting to know why her boyfriend died, and that's when their real work begins. Before the movie starts, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon. Now let's dive into the movie together. As the movie begins, they're just congratulating each other and getting ready to crush it. But as the days go by, nothing but flies seem to be entering their office. Well, actually, in 2018, there wasn't even a law regarding private investigations. How did they even think they could do this job? Our duo's strength is their heart, but their weakness is being way too excitable. When someone finally walks in, they're just told to use their services and come eat. Seeing our disappointed guy perform a forensic analysis on the person who handed out the flyer, he seems like a super detective. Their food is tasteless. It's 12:25. How can a place be good if the chef himself is out handing out flyers during the lunch rush? The chef? Didn't you see his hands when he gave you the flyer? The skin was peeling. They were definitely a chef's hands. And those rubber boots. Why would he wear rubber boots when it's sunny outside? Chefs wear them because there's a lot of water in the kitchen. But then the other guy says no, even delivery workers wear rubber boots these days. The name on this flyer is Kang Dae-man. And on the metal container visible through the door, it says Silver Banju. Don't you remember? Delivery food came when we opened the office. That was from the place called Silver Banju. What about it? The one with only 3 side dishes and no flavor. With all these clues, you should be ashamed. And yet you claim to have a private investigation agency. And so the conversation goes. It seems they're just picking on each other because they have no income. Now our duo's marketing begins. Oh man, these two are so unlucky on top of everything. He goes into the women's restroom to post a flyer and gets caught by the police. Well, since our big guy was a cop, he manages to smooth things over and get out. At that moment, a woman is pleading with the police, saying, "I'm really begging you." And as the cop gets annoyed, our little guy manages to hand her his business card. Basically, they've been hanging around the police station looking for any random cases, and even the cops are fed up with them. Fortunately, a client finally comes to see our duo. It was the woman he gave the business card to earlier at the police station. Her husband went out to get fruit for his pregnant wife and never returned. She reported him missing, and while waiting for news, she was told he died after being hit by a train. Since he grew up in an orphanage and didn't have many friends, she even went to his workplace, but no one knew anything. Then, a few days later, she heard he died in a train accident. Most suspiciously, the director of the orphanage where he lived identified and cremated him, and she says the police don't even care. The case wasn't being taken seriously and was about to be dismissed, but then a woman offers 50 million won to investigate it. Our two leads, who hadn't had a decent case in a while, are absolutely thrilled, and so they begin investigating this complex case. First, they visit the younger police officer and ask him for every single detail about what happened. It starts with questions, but ends with him practically getting scolded. To make matters worse, our big guy finds out that while they were supposed to quit their jobs to start this, the other guy just took a leave of absence, leading to a huge argument. They go to the director of the orphanage to start taking statements, asking why he didn't tell the girlfriend, how he recognized him, and so on. The director says, "If I had known, I would have said something. I recognized him by a certain scar on his hand." "Oh, my poor children," he laments. Basically, this director is acting like a total saint. As the investigation continues, the younger cop texts saying he can't help, so our duo looks for another way and expands their team. The new member of our team is named Yoshi. He was a top investigator in the cybercrimes unit. Unfortunately, due to his jealousy, he ended up behind bars for putting a GPS tracker on his wife's car. As soon as the big guy spills the secrets, he starts working his magic on the computer. He's also a standout character in this movie. What can a hacker really do, you ask? How about being able to display a remote phone screen right in the palms of these two? They start searching for the guy who sent the message. Someone who grew up in the same orphanage tells the husband that the kids they grew up with are dying one by one. A message also arrives saying, "You should be careful too." They begin their search for the man who sent that message. Using his phone's GPS, they find him, but just as they call his name to meet, he bolts like a panicked mouse running from a cat. They chase him down, but just as they're about to catch him, the terrified young man tries to escape and jumps from a height. While trying to save him, they ask who the killer is. He says Viper before falling. Due to this tragic accident, the young man falls into a coma. Naturally, our big guy becomes a suspect. However, he manages to prove his innocence using security footage. Woo Cho-run, Kim Jae-hee, Kim Jae-ri, names written on the window. Our duo discovers that children from the same orphanage were in an accident. As clues emerge about people who worked together and shared hospital stays, our little guy gives his wife an expensive bag for their anniversary. The cyber guy was left at the hospital to flirt with the nurses. Our two leads arrive at the factory where the victim worked and ask about Viper. Surprisingly, one of the employees says he knows him. They asked to meet a man named Choi Sung-byung. But that person turned out to be someone unrelated to the case who couldn't answer. Meanwhile, a man called Manager Kim answers various questions and quickly leaves. But our duo immediately notices that something isn't right. The cyber guy thought the nurse was flirting, but after waking up, he realizes she drugged his drink. When he wakes up, he's told that the unconscious young man has died. In general, Chief Kim turns out to be connected to these mysterious cases. He becomes firmly convinced that Chief Kim is either the criminal or an accomplice, because he remembers that all the clues are leading right back to Chief Kim. When our two go to the funeral of the last young man, the orphanage director's daughter is there again. While discussing how this case isn't quite right and is unclear, they find out insurance was taken out. Considering Chief Kim connected to the industrial accident insurance, he is detained by the police. The orphanage director comes and asks, "Why did you do such a thing?" They shed crocodile tears, saying things like, "I'll look after your wife. Why didn't you tell me if it was hard?" After meeting, he immediately confesses to the crime, saying, "My child was sick, so I did it." The police also thank Tae-man, saying, "If it weren't for you, we wouldn't have been able to solve this case." Even so, Tae-man felt something was off. The scene changes and he goes home happy with the reward money, but his wife chews him out for selling the bookstore. On the other hand, when Tae-man tells his wife work is going well, she reacts with a forced expression. The next day, the cyber guy shows up, having bugged their car with a tracker to get paid for his work. It's a bit uncomfortable as he lists their whole lives while laughing, almost like he's threatening them. But our two had actually promised him a share from the beginning. While watching the news about the insurance murders, thinking that's our case, Chief Kim's hand falls off. Things start to feel very wrong. Then, when they go to the police and re-examine the info, it's obvious that there's no connection. Tae-man gets angry, asking, "Why don't you check more thoroughly?" And the investigation continues. Chief Kim's wife is in poor health in the hospital. When they arrive at the hospital where she was, she had already been transferred. They immediately suspect the orphanage director in this case. The next day, while Dae-man is at home, his wife leaves the baby and goes, saying, "Live however you want." Our investigation team added a little member. Dae-man is a very good father. They visit the director again, and while gathering info, they manage to ask about the case. When the director asks, "Isn't the case over?" While saying Kim isn't the criminal, Tae-man loudly reports an unregistered car and its plate number. The director is completely shocked. Tae-man, meanwhile, gets a clue at that moment and leaves. Continuing the investigation, they check the other hospital. While they are whispering because the baby is sleeping, the cyber guy comes in shouting. He's sitting there listening to the fact that they'll take back the payment they gave. It's almost scary, right? And so they continue investigating the case together. While Dae-man is going home with the baby, some thugs try to kidnap his son, but the family fights back. A lot of crying. "Why are you coming now? How can I leave my son with you? And what's with the bag you bought for your wife?" While our cyber guy is flirting with the nurse and spying, he runs into the director's daughter leaving. Of course, Cyber won't just let it go and will pull a stunt. While doing that, he gets startled by his own ugly face in the mirror. To make matters worse, our clumsy guy gets caught by the guard. The director's daughter meets Big, tears her clothes, and puts on a whole dramatic show. Then, in detention, he meets Cyber, who was caught by the guard earlier. Meanwhile, Small begs his wife on his knees and finally gets permission to leave. His son supports him and even gives him his toy gun. He manages to say the bag he gave her was a fake. Man, how is he going to go back home? When Small arrives at detention, Big tells him the info he found. They take good care of them from a young age, put them in factories when they grow up, then injure them themselves, and sell their organs at their own hospital. He also says the guy they first started investigating is still alive. Knowing the guy's organs are being harvested today, they wonder how to get out, then the police chief arrives with his team to help. The orphanage director is driving his luxury car when Big catches him. Panicked, he offers money, saying dying kids can just give organs to good people and come back. Big gets angry and grabs him, but the director knocks him out with a taser and injects him. At the airport, while chasing the director's daughter, they try to follow her car, but it turns out they'd left their motorcycle way back in the parking lot. But they still manage to track her down by following the clues. It's a pitch-black old building, impossible to enter. But our duo makes the impossible possible by sending in a remote-controlled car. But it doesn't last long. While being chased by guards, Big is spotted on the camera mounted on that car. Seeing Big Small suggests crashing in with the motorcycle, but ignoring Cyber's cries about the 30 million won price and 47-month loan, he just rushes right in. As Cyber screams about his 30 million won, the enemies come out shouting. The police chief, realizing Big is in trouble, mobilizes his team. While they're distracted in front, Cyber cuts the power from behind to buy time. Luckily, the surgery is temporarily halted at this moment. While struggling in the dark, Cyber gets beaten up by that girl from the orphanage. Then Big wakes up, joins the fight, and takes care of the girl. Wow, it's just like a movie. Our trio reunites in the dark and happily enters a grand hallway. Facing a tough guy with an axe, Cyber and Small show the gun from the sun, and the guy drops the axe and runs. They find the operating room, and as the director pulls a gun to shoot Big, Small jumps in front and gets shot. Big beats the director senseless, then goes to Small, who was almost dying. Seeing Cyber arrive from outside, Small wakes up and says, "Why on earth are you only showing up now?" "My wife told me I'm not allowed to get hurt," he says, nagging him. It's not like our Cyber stayed behind. He led the police right to them. As the police take the enemies away, Cyber starts crying his eyes out. Well, his expensive motorcycle with the loan is completely ruined. At the hospital, while they watch the news about the case they solved, the guy comes in with his pregnant wife. They try to return the money, saying they promised not to take it from the start, but Big says it's not necessary and gives it back to them. Meanwhile, Shorty was desperately chasing after his money, but of course, our big guy already knew that Shark had planted a listening device. After taking the device, he shows that he has 200 million won from an insurance payout. While they were telling each other not to tell Cyber, what if our Cyber was already listening the whole time? So after solving this interesting case, our team's next mission was to find a cat for 100 million won. Thank you to all our viewers for staying with the Turbo Kino channel. Make sure to watch the full version of the movie we've recommended. Of course, if you enjoyed our channel, please like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon. Until we meet again in the next episode, goodbye for now.